Imagine locking your deadbolt, grabbing your dog, and sitting in the dead silence of the woods. And then suddenly the forest goes entirely mute, your phone completely dies, and a massive blinding ball of light phases straight through your solid roof.
Right, and it doesn't leave a single scorch mark.
Exactly. Usually when we talk about a strange encounter, there is an expectation of like a physical receipt. Crime scene, a window is broken, so there's shattered glass on the floor.
Yeah, or a heavy object is moved, so there are deep drag marks in the dirt. Cause and effect.
Right.
I mean, we rely on that receipt to feel safe. We expect the fundamental laws of physics to apply, even when an experience is deeply terrifying. Because when an event violates classical mechanics, human perception it struggles to process it.
That blank receipt is exactly the puzzle we are trying to solve today. Welcome to this deep dive. If you are joining us, you know we love examining the obscure.
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we are analyzing 3 first-hand accounts of deeply unsettling encounters sourced from a YouTube channel called Mr. Nightmare. And for you listening, our goal today isn't just to share campfire ghost stories.
No, definitely not. We are mapping out the anatomy of an anomaly.
Yeah, we want to understand the exact mechanisms at play when human perception clashes with something that absolutely refuses to play by the rules of reality or technology or, nature. Okay, let's unpack this with our first source, because the contrast between normal and terrifying is just incredibly stark.
Setting the baseline of normalcy is crucial when evaluating these accounts. I mean, it allows us to measure the exact severity of the disruption.
Totally. So picture a couple spending a Saturday night alone at his parents' massive, secluded property. They are out in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by acres of empty land.
Sounds super isolated.
Yeah, very. They're drinking wine, playing a card game called Phase 10. Just a perfectly mundane, cozy evening. Around 1 a.m., they fall asleep watching a movie in the living room. Then the invasion starts.
The disruption of that baseline.
Exactly. They are jolted awake by an incredibly loud, low-bass noise. The witness describes it like a boat horn, but much lower in pitch and deafeningly loud.
Oh, wow.
It is so intense, they both literally have to cover their ears. The ground is vibrating. The glasses in the china cabinet are shaking like an earthquake is rolling through the foundation. But there are no train tracks nearby. No shipping lanes.
Nothing that could generate that kind of acoustic power. We really have to analyze the specific physiology of that sensory overload. A vibrating low-frequency sound, often called infrasound, combined with extreme volume, is a known method of cognitive disruption.
Wait, really? It disrupts cognition?
Oh, absolutely. When you hit a human with an unexpected low-frequency acoustic wave, it physically rattles the inner ear and the internal organs. It induces a state of profound disorientation and primal fear. It basically paralyzes the brain's normal orienting response, stripping away your ability to think logically.
That perfectly explains their reaction.
Right.
Because they're immediately terrified and just totally confused. And while they're still trying to process the vibration, there is a flash of light in the backyard.
Like a lightning strike.
Brighter than a professional camera flash. It illuminates the entire living room like a lightning strike, but the sky is totally clear. So they turn off the interior lights to look outside. The motion sensor floodlight in the backyard is on, meaning something with a large physical mass triggered it.
Okay, so a physical presence is confirmed.
Right. And through the glass, they hear this bizarre mumbling. It sounds like whispering, but the cadence is entirely wrong, and it is in a language neither of them recognizes. Then they spot 2 swaying silhouettes outside the window.
Swaying?
Yeah, they aren't walking with a normal human gait. They're swaying side to side.
Notice how the anomaly introduces multiple conflicting data points. The silhouettes imply a biological presence, and the motion sensor confirms a physical mass. But the localized earthquake and blinding flash point to an enormous energy output. 2 simple biological beings should not be able to generate that.
Well, the boyfriend tries to call the police, but his phone has 0 service, no cellular connection, no Wi-Fi.
Let me guess, the girlfriend's phone is dead too.
Exactly. She checks her phone, exact same problem. And he always has perfect service at this house. Whatever is outside hasn't just breached the physical property line. It has completely severed their electromagnetic connection to the outside world.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, and then the silhouettes move to the locked kitchen door and start twisting the handle, like really trying to force it open. The witness starts screaming out of pure panic. The boyfriend yells that he has a gun, which is a total lie, hoping to scare them off.
They are defaulting to classical human defensive strategies, screaming to alert others, threatening lethal force. I mean, they are treating the threat like a standard home invasion,
Mhm.
unaware that the parameters of this threat are not standard at all.
And the anomaly completely ignores the threat. Suddenly, that blaring, earth-shaking horn returns. At that exact same moment, both the locked front door and the locked side door blow wide open simultaneously.
Just boom, both of them.
Both of them. And right as the doors hit the walls, their phones light up with a flood of notifications. Service is instantaneously restored.
Wow.
But wait, hold on. Could those doors blowing open just be a massive, unexplainable atmospheric pressure change? Like, if a freak weather vacuum drops the pressure fast enough, couldn't it pop the deadbolts and momentarily mess with the cell towers at the exact same time?
What's fascinating here is the sheer physical contradiction of the aftermath. If you have an atmospheric pressure drop powerful enough to forcefully blow open two secured deadbolts simultaneously, you are dealing with explosive decompression.
So the house would be wrecked.
Completely. The structural damage to the house would be severe. The wooden frames would splinter, the hinges would literally tear out of the drywall, and the windows would likely shatter outward. But the doors simply popped open.
Yeah, no splintered wood at all.
Furthermore, a barometric pressure drop does not selectively jam Wi-Fi and cellular radio frequencies, hold them in a dead zone, and then release them exactly when the physical intrusion peaks. The synchronization of the communication blackout ending the very second the physical barrier is breached implies an orchestrated mechanism.
Like a targeted EMP.
Exactly. It is a deliberate, targeted manipulation of technology.
Well, the most baffling detail is what the police discover when they finally arrive and search the property. The backyard is extremely muddy from recent weather, but there is not a single muddy footprint anywhere outside the windows, near the side door, or anywhere on the property.
None.
Zero physical evidence that anyone with mass was standing out there.
This is where we hit a wall with classical physics. To blow open a locked door requires immense kinetic energy. According to Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right?
Right.
So if a physical entity pushed, kicked, or rammed those doors open, they would have had to brace their mass against the ground to generate that leverage. In a soft, muddy yard, that action leaves deep, undeniable tracks.
And unavoidable.
The complete absence of footprints, combined with the orchestrated technological blackout, suggests that whatever exerted that massive kinetic force was not interacting with the physical environment in a way that obeys classical mechanics.
It's just wild. We just saw how these anomalies manipulate physical barriers like doors and cell signals. But what happens when the anomaly doesn't just block a signal, but literally manipulates the physical state of matter?
Oh, this is where it gets crazy.
Yeah, this next source takes us out of a contained house and into a massive open landscape. We're looking at a guy staying at his parents' camp on a very large lake. It is March. He just went through a brutal breakup, so he is completely isolated up there.
Just him out in the elements.
Just him and his dog, a black lab named Zemo. And anyone who has owned a lab knows they are bred to be in the elements. Rain, sleet, snow. They want to be outside exploring.
Yeah, animals operate as incredible barometric and electromagnetic sensors. They lack our human cognitive biases, They don't rationalize or try to explain away weird data. They simply react to the raw sensory input they're receiving.
Well, the data Zemo is receiving is telling his instincts to stay far away from the outdoors. The dog absolutely refuses to go outside. He just stands by the door, physically trembling and crying.
That's a huge warning sign.
The guy steps out onto the deck to see what could possibly be terrifying a hunting dog, and he looks out over this massive lake. Way out on the distant horizon, he sees these strange balls of light.
Like aircraft.
He assumes it must be a fleet of drones, but there are dozens of them. They are dancing around, moving in completely erratic directions. After a few minutes, the entire cluster shoots straight up into the night sky and vanishes. And the second they disappear, Zemo trots outside like everything is perfectly fine.
That is so telling. The dog's reaction gives us a vital clue about the nature of the phenomenon. Dogs have a significantly broader range of hearing than humans, especially in high frequencies. But more importantly, they are highly sensitive to shifts in electromagnetic fields and barometric pressure.
So it wasn't just seeing the lights.
No, the dog is not reacting to the visual sight of lights miles away. It is reacting to the localized field of energy that precedes the visual manifestation.
Night 2 changes the entire dynamic. Same time a dog starts crying again, the guy looks out, the lights have returned. But they're much closer this time. He notes feeling a profound, heavy sense of unease.
That physiological reaction again.
Right. And the lights aren't shooting around randomly anymore. Some of them shoot up into the atmosphere and disappear, but the rest hover completely still over the water. They start blinking. Then, they slowly begin moving toward each other in perfectly straight, deliberate, intersecting lines.
That's organized behavior.
Yes, they make contact and they merge. They literally combine until there is just one massive single ball of light hovering over the water. It lingers and then slowly dips below the horizon line, disappearing into the lake.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the merging of these lights definitively strips away any conventional natural explanation.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like watching a swarm of highly coordinated bees, but then the individual bees literally melt together into one giant organism.
Yeah, or like two droplets of liquid metal sliding together to form a single puddle.
Exactly. Physical drones made of plastic and metal cannot merge into a single solid object without destroying each other.
You also have to rule out rare atmospheric weather phenomena, like ball lightning or St. Elmo's fire. Natural plasma discharges do not behave with deliberate, organized geometry.
Ball lightning is pretty chaotic, right?
Very. It is incredibly short-lived, unstable, and erratic. It does not hover in place, wait for other instances of ball lightning, travel in straight lines on an XY axis, and smoothly combine into a larger, stable mass. The behavior the witness is describing defies the thermodynamic laws of plasma or gas in a natural environment.
So it's controlled.
It indicates a level of intelligent control and fluid manipulation of matter that our current understanding of physics simply cannot account for.
And night 3 is where the anomaly closes the distance completely. The guy's terrified, but his curiosity keeps him awake. Right on schedule, the lights don't fly in from a distance. They just pop into the sky out of nowhere, already close to the shore.
They didn't travel there.
Nope, just materialized. This time they are moving slowly toward the house. He notes a very distinct, faint humming sound, like old fluorescent lights buzzing in a warehouse.
The humming sound.
Yeah. As the lights reach his backyard and the dock, they scatter. They become totally erratic, shooting off in multiple directions. They are physically hitting his house, hitting the trees, hitting the water like a barrage of fireworks.
That must have been deafening.
He actually hits the deck, covering his head, fully expecting the house to catch fire. Then he realizes Zemo has stopped crying. He looks up, and the lights are completely gone. And the absolute kicker, there is zero damage.
None at all.
No scorch marks on the wood, no broken glass, no lingering heat. If these are physical objects hitting a house with that much speed, why do they just vanish and leave no kinetic or thermal damage?
And that faint humming sound, that fluorescent buzz, is the key. It strongly indicates a localized electromagnetic frequency, which reinforces why the dog was in distress hours before the lights ever got close.
So the dog felt the hum before the guy could hear it.
Exactly. The fact that the lights popped into existence without traveling from a distance and then physically impacted solid matter like trees and wood without transferring any heat or kinetic energy suggests these aren't solid objects at all.
Then what are they?
They are energetic projections. They are phasing through solid matter. When an object made of mass hits a wall, kinetic energy is transferred, causing a break or a dent. These entities or energies are bypassing the solid state of the environment entirely, interacting on a frequency that leaves no physical receipt.
We've moved from the manipulation of physical barriers to the manipulation of matter and energy, but our final source disrupts something even more fundamental.
Human consciousness.
Yes, human consciousness, memory, and the basic fabric of space and time. We have a father on a cross-country RV trip with his family. They pull into a very secluded, primitive campsite late at night. His kids and wife go to sleep.
Very isolated again.
Super isolated. He has a habit of sneaking away to smoke, so he walks about 15 minutes away from the RV to a familiar rock ledge overlooking the dense trees. He is out there meditating, enjoying the isolation, when he hears a noise. He describes it as a mechanical, pulsating wow, wow, wow sound.
That rhythmic artificial pulsation is a massive red flag. You have a synthesized, repeating acoustic pattern manifesting in the middle of an untamed wilderness environment.
Right, and he is a very experienced camper. He knows immediately that no animal makes that sound. He decides to walk toward it to investigate. As he feels like he is closing in on the source, the sound abruptly stops. But it isn't just the pulsating sound that stops. Everything stops.
The whole forest.
The wind in the trees, the chirping of the bugs, the ambient rustling of the forest. It goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop.
In anomalous research, this specific environmental marker is heavily documented. It is as if the ambient environment is instantly placed inside a vacuum.
Like a dome over the area.
Think of it like an acoustic shadow or being caught in the eye of a frequency hurricane. Through destructive interference where sound waves meet and perfectly cancel each other out, the localized auditory perception of the witness is artificially perfectly muted.
Inside that unnatural silence, he hears a distinct rustling behind him. He turns around, and standing in the dark about 10 feet away is a figure. It is bipedal, standing on 2 legs, but it is extremely tall, well over 7 feet.
Oh, man.
It is incredibly skinny and standing in a bizarre, hunched-over posture. The guy takes one tiny step toward it. The figure immediately flinches, dropping into a low stance like it is preparing to charge.
A threat display.
Yeah, and the moonlight catches its eyes, and they are massive and highly reflective, glowing in the dark. It makes an indescribable, guttural noise and skitters off into the thick brush.
Let's break down the biological impossibility of that creature. A bipedal entity, over 7 feet tall, dangerously emaciated, with massive reflective eyes. That morphology does not match any known apex predator in North America.
I mean, could it have been a bear standing up?
A bear can stand on 2 legs, sure, but a bear does not possess a skinny, hunched hominid silhouette, nor does it skitter. And the reflective eyes point to a structural adaptation called tapetum lucidum. It is a retroreflector tissue located behind the retina that bounces visible light back through the photoreceptors. Many nocturnal animals have it to hunt in low light, but to see tapetum lucidum packaged in a massive bipedal hominid frame contradicts our entire evolutionary fossil record.
The sheer terror of the encounter causes the guy to fall backward onto the ground. The very second the creature vanishes, the forest instantly comes back to life.
The acoustic shadow lifts.
Exactly. The audio returns. The wind is blowing, the bugs are chirping. He sits there for a few minutes to catch his breath, then walks the 15 minutes back to the RV. When he opens the door, his wife is sitting up, absolutely furious.
Why was she furious?
Well, he thinks he was gone for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. She tells him he's been gone for several hours. He checks the clock on the microwave, and she is entirely correct. He has absolutely no memory of losing those hours.
Missing time.
The next morning, right as the sun is coming up, he hears a heavy, incredibly loud whoosh right over the roof of the RV, like something massive displacing the air as it flies by. But when he looks out the window, the sky is empty.
It's an empty sky.
Wait, couldn't the missing time just be a deeply exhausted guy falling asleep while meditating on the ledge? He nods off, wakes up to a deer with glowing eyes, gets spooked, and walks back.
This raises an important question about how the human brain encodes trauma and memory. Yes, falling asleep is the most conventional biological explanation for a gap in time. However, sleep does not account for the localized acoustic shadow that muted the entire forest.
Right, a sleeping guy doesn't turn off the crickets.
Exactly. More importantly, it contradicts the neurology of fear. When you encounter a massive predator, the amygdala floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol. That chemical cocktail usually sears the memory into the hippocampus with extreme clarity. It does not passively erase hours of consciousness.
So his brain was messed with.
When you experience missing time in conjunction with total sensory isolation and an encounter with an impossible entity, it points to a profound manipulation of the observer's neurology.
What about the whoosh the next morning?
The whoosh acts as the lingering atmospheric footprint. It is the physical displacement of air caused by whatever orchestrated the anomaly finally leaving the geographic area. So what does this all mean?
Well, we have meticulously examined 3 totally distinct encounters. A house out in the country, a desolate lake camp, and a secluded RV park.
On the surface, the narratives are completely different. A home invasion, an aerial light phenomenon, and a cryptid encounter in the woods.
Right.
But when we strip away the narrative and look at the structural mechanics of the anomalies, the pattern is remarkably, terrifyingly consistent.
We see this exact sequence play out. Massive sensory disruption. The low-frequency boat horn shaking the foundation, the humming, buzzing balls of light vibrating the air, the mechanical, pulsating wow-wow-wow sound.
It's an audiovisual assault.
Accompanying that, we see the complete failure or manipulation of technology in nature. Phones perfectly dead and then perfectly restored. A dog terrified of an invisible electromagnetic frequency. A living forest put on absolute mute through destructive interference.
And tying it all together is the stark, maddening lack of physical evidence. A massive kinetic force blowing open locked deadbolts, but absolutely no footprints in the soft mud.
High-speed lights crashing into a wooden house like fireworks, but no scorch marks or kinetic damage.
A massive biological entity in the woods, but hours of human memory completely wiped clean without physiological explanation.
For you, the listener, trying to integrate this into your understanding of the world, it is vital to recognize the boundaries of our current scientific frameworks. Part of gaining thorough, honest knowledge is having the humility to admit when modern technology and physics hit a brick wall.
And they really hit a wall here.
Our entire reality relies on the comfort of cause and effect. But these three accounts exist in a terrifying space where cause and effect are totally decoupled.
We desperately want reality to be binary. The door is locked or broken, the animal is known or hallucination. But these data points force us to consider that reality and the physics governing it might be much more fluid and much more permeable than human perception is equipped to handle.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering idea to ponder as we close out this deep dive. In all these stories, physical reality seems to warp around the witness. Doors open without physical tracks. Lights phase through solid trees without burning them. Hours of a man's life simply disappear in the blink of an eye.
It's all connected by what isn't there.
Exactly. What if the total lack of a physical receipt is the biggest clue we have? What if these anomalies, these lights and silhouettes, aren't entities visiting our physical space,
Wait.
but rather moments where the witnesses are temporarily pulled into theirs?
Wow. It forces a complete paradigm shift. You are no longer the observer looking out at an anomaly. You are the subject, trapped inside it.
Keep questioning the receipts, keep analyzing the anomalies, and we will see you next time on The Deep Dive.